previously on Paranormal Horizons.
That was just recently, and that was our high.
We're out of batteries. Just went from 50 to 0.
Something shut the systems down.
It's moving slowly.
UAP over the horizon.
Keel came up with the idea of window areas.
It went to 12.6.
Yeah, so there might be something around us we don't know.
Right there?
Hey, did that come on?
Yeah. It's moving.
Record it.
Yep, I've got him.
Holy shoot, what is that?
Once again, we were back on the road. Since our last investigation in the Point Pleasant area had produced some very strange data points, it was important that we try our best to replicate these results and compare them. If we could duplicate some of these interactions, maybe we could produce enough data to show that there was a measurable source that simply defied our logical understanding. We had talked to our peers about what we had measured in the field near the site of the old power plant area, and none had an explanation for the events. The amount of equipment failures at the exact same times seemed to rule out conventional explanations. The odds of failures occurring on multiple pieces of equipment at those specific times was quite literally astronomical. And in conjunction with the signals that we received, along with the appearance of these thermal targets and strange anomalies, we were faced with a much broader mystery, one larger than we could have ever imagined. This was not simply paranormal phenomena and UFOs. It was high strangeness at its best, and it challenged us to find more proof of whatever this may be. During the filming of this series, we ran into multiple accounts of synchronicities and strange coincidence, which we just couldn't believe. One such was the following. We were in town filming the sequence about the Mothman Museum when we met a witness who not only seemed to validate some of the past reports in this area, but would also validate some of what we would experience.
Now, have you ever seen anything strange? I know it might not be Mothman related, but any kind of strange paranormal event or UFO or anything like that in the region?
I actually just moved, so it's more in a wooded area than where I used to live, which was right in the middle of the city. But I have actually been like, when people talk about seeing weird lights and stuff, they're not joking. You know, the more you hear about that, you don't really think much of it. But then you go out and you live in places like that, and you're like, maybe they're right. You know, maybe there's something out there. So I've definitely been outside at night a couple of times and been like, oh, I wonder what that is. Well, I'm not too familiar with flying aircrafts, but there I've seen blue, purplish lights up in the sky at night. There's always something, you know, out there when I go, just to like sit, you know, on my porch at night to wind down from the day. There's usually more times than not that I have seen a bluish, purplish object flying outside, you know, up in the sky somewhere. I mean, it's kind of crazy because I'm not somebody who's ever seen that stuff before. And, you know, you hear these stories and it's like, okay, you know, whatever. But then you live out in the woods and then you realize that, like, oh, maybe they're not lying about that sort of thing. So.
Is there any sounds? Did they make any sounds?
No sounds, but just you notice them, yes. You know, and it's super hard not to, yes. Especially when it's not like they're erratically flying or anything that I've seen, but it's weird lights, you know. It's like, what kind of, you know, flying aircraft has purple lights on it that I've seen? So.
I can tell you that. No.
Yeah.
That is just amazing.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with any of the Keel literature, like?
Other than, you know, having knowledge of the prophecy, the Mothman Prophecies book.
Not like Operation Trojan Horse.
No.
Like that? Okay.
Keel came up with the idea of window areas, and he may have been influenced somewhat by Alan Greenfield. Alan Greenfield came up with the alternate reality theory way back when, and they were friends, and I'm sure they talked about this. But there are two things about the window areas. He was trying to come to grips with why these things seem to just show up and then disappear. Why were there so many different types of craft and entities? You get the same general shapes, cigar, spheres, ovals, and so forth, but when you get into the detail, there's so many different types. And so he was trying to come to grips with why, I mean, that there seemed to be a certain solidity to it, but they would just appear and disappear. But also he said window areas that seem to manifest phenomena over a period of time. A book came out about the same time that at the time I didn't want anything to do with was Operation Trojan Horse. And that's where he created sacrilege and was pulling together all these different, what we think of as different areas of study like UFOs, cryptids, psychic phenomena. And so I kind of came kicking and screaming reading that book, but eventually I did. And I like to tell people I was in therapy and in recovery for a while, and then I was fine. And then I read Jacques Vallée's Passport to Magonia, and I was back in therapy again. But in all seriousness, those two men and those two books set me on a different path and a different way of thinking about this phenomenon.
If one really looks deep into this phenomena, they will notice these overlaps. We've seen and documented these overlaps now numerous times. Most UFO researchers are still convinced that UFOs represent some form of physical craft at this point. But the data itself does not suggest that that is all there is at face value. Like Keel and Vallée, we are confronted with an enigma that seems to represent an intelligence. But is it truly physical? And why does it seem to be trying to communicate at times? We were headed for an area that was close to where Keel was said to have frequented and close to where he may have made some form of contact. As we got closer, though, things began to get very interesting.
Yep. I don't think it will be. Why is it open? I think one of his noses is open. Should it be open?
It's not the first weird thing that's happened tonight because Adam watched me put a pillow in the back of the truck, and then as we're pulling out of his driveway, I'm like, whoa, what is that? And there's that pillow on my tonneau cover. So I even got out of the truck then and walked around to grab that pillow, and my tailgate was up.
Well, your tailgate was down.
Yeah.
Just now.
Which is weird.
We pulled in here.
It's really weird. All right, we're gonna get going.
I had my doubts we were going to do too much. The weather began to change as we got closer, and the conditions started to really worsen. It began to pour, and it looked like this was a wasted trip for us. And by the time we got to the site, it was clear we had to cancel this investigation. So we decided to head over to the office and wait out the storm. Maybe head back to the last location we had been in. Last time, we couldn't get exactly where we needed to be, as close to the old North Power Plant location. After we left the area, the weather began to cooperate with us. We brought along Dave Roberts, and he brought along something he thought would be very beneficial to our investigation. Dave, you brought along your telescope. Can you tell us a little about this thing and how it might be able to help us?
This is an entry-level smart telescope called the S350. It's by a company called ZWO, based out of China, actually, but they become very popular in the U.S. and produce a lot of beginner to mid to high-end level equipment for astrophotographers. The scope itself, has about a 250 millimeter focal length, and most people are just using this to image nebulae, galaxies, clusters of various types.
So how can it help us?
As far as what we're doing here, if we're talking about UFO hunting, for example, or someone's seeing lights in the sky somewhere, if we could have this on site somewhere, and depending on the distance, because distance is going to be the biggest issue, because this thing can see very far. If it's too close, it'll blur it out. But if it's terrestrial enough in scenery mode, then we should be able to zoom in to a certain point to where the object actually has a clarity and might actually have enough definition we can tell what it might be.
Okay.
whether it's like, say, like a drone
Yeah,
or
right.
something we can't identify at all.
Well, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely going to deploy this thing in the field, and can't wait to see what it does.
It could be beneficial. It's not been done before that I'm aware of. So whenever we can try this as an experiment to see what happens, to see how it actually helps, it may be able to become a tool.
All right.
Um,
Well, we're going to give it a shot.
We planned to deploy this at a future location and figured this area might give us a good test run for the scope.
So the last time we were out here, we got some tremendous evidence.
Yeah.
3.
Confirm.
There's 3.
And they're moving weird.
Yep.
Look at that.
Yep.
We're getting activity right now. You can see how it's tracking. That was just recently, and that was our high. And against all odds, tonight the sky finally opened up and looks like it's going to cooperate.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a clearing here after that torrential downpour that came through earlier. So I said we sit up, take advantage of this little clear spot here. I know Dave's got the scope. We're going to try that out and just kind of get a test on that thing and see what we can find out here and just kind of watch the sky, because over there's where those lights were.
Yeah.
Literally right in that area.
Right in that area.
Yeah, so let's do that. And we've got a flashlight.
Oh boy.
So who knows what's going to happen.
Oh, I'm excited.
Let's sit up.
Last time we were out here, there was an event taking place at the old fairground. This time, it was almost deserted except a few campers. So we started setting up our gear and taking some baseline measurements. But it wasn't long after that till we started getting some strange results.
Ron.
What?
I'm getting a 4.8.
What is it?
4.8 microwave.
4.8 microwave.
3.9.
You think that's the mics or anything?
No, the mics are all like way over there.
Now, what we hadn't noticed at the time was this. In the upper left-hand corner, in one frame, you can see a small orb of light appear. Now, this only happens in this one frame, and then it's just gone. This will be the first of some rather interesting anomalies this evening.
Like even pointing it directly at the Sea Star. The Sea Star is giving off a lot,
Could be the
but
communication.
the Sea Star is not over there.
That's a steady 7.1.
It went to 12.6.
Yeah, I can hear it going nuts. Why is the battery dying? The battery's dying.
Battery is dying.
What the heck is that? Is that?
6.6.9.
Yeah. What happens if you turn?
Going to 4 now. 4.9, steady.
4.9. If you turn that way,
Going up.
it goes up.
Like it's 5.389 and it ain't moving.
What is that?
4.81.
Hold it up to the sky.
That's why 8.9.
Like, do all these numbers over your head. It's not coming from space, but it's coming from straight in front of us. Is that right?
Yeah, that way.
Well,
Look at that, 5.9, 6.1. It's like,
yeah, I see it. All right, what's the gauze? Look at our gauze reading.
2.7, 2.8.
So there's something out here giving off. There's something over here giving off electromagnetic field.
3.5.
Yeah. So walk toward that gate. Walk
We
backwards.
should normally see about 0.4 milligauss, and we should easily be able to pinpoint its origin. However, Joe was standing in an area that was clearly above normal background readings.
Everybody back up.
There was nothing in this area that we could find to account for this EM field.
Like I'm in it. Right here. Right here.
Yeah, you are. There it is. What is it?
I don't know, but it's right here.
Yeah, it is.
6.1.
Bring the camera over here and get this shot over the top of my shoulder. This is crazy.
Like I'm standing in it right
You
now.
are standing in it. I just saw it go to 6. Look at this. Back just a little bit. No. Turn,
no.
turn. Toward me slowly. Now back around.
0.
Go slow now. Turn
Which way?
to your right. Slow. Okay. Keep going. There it is. It's right in there.
Yeah, this is it.
Every single time you go, it's right there. Where is it coming from? I don't know what that is.
Look at this.
Oh, I'm seeing it. Why don't we get the REM pod set up and see if there's anything in this region?
The REM pod gave some great results the last time, but more importantly, it's a very sensitive piece of equipment and should react to this strong signal.
So I'm going to set out the REM pod in that area where you got the weird.
Okay.
Okay. So
Well, you know what happened last time we set the REM pod
What does
up?
that say?
It's a 1.72 at 66, negative 66 decibels. 1.723.
Okay, we'll check that out in a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to set this thing out, and we're going to see, what happens. So you were right in this area here, right? Like
yeah,
literally right out in
about 4
front.
feet from you right now.
Okay. Well, there we go.
Let's see.
All right, we're going to drop it down.
Our REM pod was in place, but it detected absolutely nothing.
Wow, isn't that amazing that there's just nothing there? Oh, there
got a
she
hot
is. Record that. Someone hit record.
Hit record. Hit that button in the middle.
That's plane. Yeah. Correct? It's plane. Copy. I can even see the contrail. Keep recording that. That's cool. You see it?
Yeah. You can see the body of the plane.
Can you see the contrail?
This is actually very good data. This is what a jet looks like to a thermal imager.
So we got thermal exhaust coming off this. That's why I want to see that. That is cool.
Now I can see the contrail.
See it?
Yep.
Cool. That's what we're looking for. We're just not looking for a plane. We're probably moving a whole lot faster. Stars.
Shoot again.
We brought along a good light this time for the flashlight experiment.
Yeah, those are stars, I'm pretty sure.
I got one.
Where?
Ron, right here. Come here.
What do you got it on?
I got it on thermal.
Record. Where's it at? I've got psionics pointing to the sky right now. Holy shoot, what is that?
You see it?
Yeah, I see it. It's gone.
No, it's not. I still got it.
Where?
Get your thermal.
What are you guys looking at?
I'm looking through the...
I got it on thermal right now. Come here.
All right, let me see what you're looking at.
You're going through the cloud bank, right?
We had both seen something completely different, however.
There's a plane.
Yeah, there's a plane blinking right
But that's not what I
That's
saw.
not where I'm aimed at.
Okay.
I'm
Dude,
above him.
I think I got it recorded. There was something freaking crazy that shot across the sky.
Now you can see the aircraft Dave's pointing out, and to the left of it is a strange blue blob that begins to zigzag upward and disappear. We have no idea what this was, and it was only captured in third-generation night vision.
Keep looking. They might just be coming out. It was right when I started flashing.
I'm going to do the 30 second experiment.
Are you recording now?
I'm not recording right now, but as soon as something pops up, I
Turn it
will
on.
be.
Record.
I'm doing a 30 second exposure right now.
You recording?
Yeah.
Okay, you ready? Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, I'm looking where you're at. Hang on. All right, I see where you're at.
I'm taking a picture.
Here I go. Same area. That caused it the last time. me save my file and restart.
That part's dead. I mean, dead as in
What?
No
Oh yeah,
activity.
nothing. Yeah,
plane here.
not seeing much else though. Pretty dead out there. Well, we did have a brief little spot of activity though,
Yeah,
right?
and at least 2 anomalies.
Yeah.
What if you went deeper into the area here?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, Dave. Walk down that way and see where the old power plant was.
See what the photos are showing here. Have a look.
Anything?
Ron, I want you to look at this.
Okay.
This is the worst pareidolia or best pareidolia ever.
Okay.
Come here.
Okay. What am I looking at?
Look in there.
Oh, I can't see in there, dude. Oh, the face?
Yeah. I took a picture of it.
That's cool.
An artifact.
Huh?
So in the store photos.
Hold on.
This ain't,
That's movement.
that's movement.
David apparently captured a light anomaly moving while we conducted the flashlight experiment, but we had seen nothing.
That's not a normal artifact.
The light seemed to move a very short distance in 30 seconds, and the movement was very erratic.
What?
That's something that over 30 seconds moved from there to there.
That's exactly what we're seeing.
I mean, even if the camera did budge a little bit, I mean, you would see
Everything would have been that way.
Put a rhythm there too.
Yeah, I
with
see
that.
There
that.
is.
I see that.
Makes me think it could, depending on the horizon, it could have been. I mean, Joe would know this. It could have been an aircraft just touching the horizon at a certain point, but it's just so short.
That is
Well,
not
with it
aircraft.
being an aircraft at 30 seconds, we'd be seeing a blip
That is
all the way
not
across. You know what I mean? Like you'd
Yeah.
see that it'd be a trace the whole way across.
Right.
I don't know what that is, but that's not a plane.
And this was during one of the shots you all were doing after.
So this was a flashlight?
after one of the flashlight shots. I don't know which. Well, it was the last one you just did. So
Okay.
yeah. So, and
That was in that frame
that was
after
one-
we did the flashlight.
This is right before
All right,
Maria
let's do another
walked over.
flashlight.
Let's do
Dave,
it.
I want you to do another burst on the sky. I'm going to do a shot, and I want you to just do a 30 second. After 30 seconds, we're going to see if anything's there. Okay? And what direction you're shooting? Okay, I see what direction you're shooting. Okay,
Sorry, I'm not trying to get away from getting this shooting. Trying to get where I have more light.
sure.
Is our light bothering that?
No. Yeah, as long as you're not right in front, you're good.
Tell me when you're ready.
So,
Yep. Yep.
all right,
Ready?
go ahead.
Got one. I'm on it. It's moving.
Record it.
Yep, I've got him.
Good
He
job.
just buzzed by an aircraft that mocked Jesus.
Once again, it appeared something had happened during the flashlight experiment.
You called that as soon as that beam shot.
It just, see that aircraft over the trees? It about, like, touched it. At least from this
All right, did we
perspective.
get that shot, Dave? Test it. See if there's anything showed up in that.
Caught up in the 30 seconds, it'll be there.
All right, we'll see what we got.
All right, so that's where you're shining. And where was it in reference to where you were hitting that light at?
I didn't see it.
Okay.
He's got it on thermal.
Okay.
We're just seeing if anything showed up in that should not be there.
Look, it would have been about
Oh,
here.
it's over that way. Okay.
No, but look, this is the course it followed
Okay.
Oh, and went down here.
and then went over the tree line.
Here's Jupiter. Down here.
Okay.
So,
What you got? Everything looks normal, right?
yeah, from what I can tell.
Yeah. Okay, everything looks kind of normal on that one. Yeah. I don't see any anomalies there.
Dave would continue to take time-lapse images during this investigation, and some produced very strange results. But I wanted us to get close as possible to where the plant used to be.
We got an open sky right here too.
Yeah, I see
Again.
that. Let's walk down to right by where the old power plant was. And let's do one of these.
Okay.
And let's just see what happens.
You get that sea star out of the road in case a car decides
Yeah,
to
get
come.
Yeah.
sea star. Well, you can, yeah, I want you to, you know what? I want you to stay up here and film back that way. So there might be something around us we don't know.
Right there?
Hey, did that come on?
Yeah.
All right, stand back. That just came on. Did you get that on camera? We heard it. You saw it?
Luckily, our full spectrum camera caught the whole thing.
That's the low level. That's your first level. Well, if something's there, I said we're going to go down by the old power plant or where the power plant was, and that thing started bleeping.
Okay, aircraft.
Joe, grab a the 500. It's over there. What's our reading?
15.
Good. Here. We're taking it down with us. Is that you? Are you doing that? Stand over here. Get over here. Get over here. It's too late now.
No, I think it gives a Wi-Fi signal up to 50 feet.
Yeah, so it could be hidden yet.
Could possibly be that. It could possibly be what that is. Yeah, I'm seeing that.
Here's my 50. Here, like, so
It's not that. Again, I said we're going to walk down to where the old
All
power
right,
plant
let's
was.
go get irradiated.
And that started. So you saw that, right?
Yeah, I saw it.
All right, Dave. If that thing goes off, let us know. All right, so let's see what we got. Well, I gotta tell you, this place does give you a little creepy feeling, right?
It's awesome.
I mean, it's something.
It's definitely got a vibe.
It's got a vibe to it, it really does. So, based on the old map that I've seen at this point, we are on the road right now. This is the road
This is the road.
that
And,
they ran down, right?
especially with what Roney told us.
Yeah.
When he brought us out of here. And
Right. So that means, if I'm right, the old power plant would have been right about here.
in this area.
In this area right here. This would be the old power plant. They would have been on this road. The road, I believe it was here, the back of the building.
Well, part of the road is still here. It's this ground up asphalt.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly what that is.
Because Roney said all they did was basically take a grader through here and ground up the old road. And that's what made the gravel road, and they spilled over into the banks.
Wow. So literally, right here is where the first sighting of the Mothman took place.
Right, within
Right
this
here.
immediate vicinity, yeah.
Right in this area. So here's the fun part. Are you ready for this? When we got our reading, you were right over there.
Right on the other side of the
Right on
brush.
the other side of this bush.
Is anything there listening right now? Mess with this device. Use any kind of electromagnetics you want, and you can mess with that. It'll set it off. Okay.
It was at 54 and it went to 0.
This is a brand new battery. That's our battery. That's one of the brand new ones, fully charged.
When I turned this back on, it was almost fully charged.
It went off completely. When we got it back on, it's fully charged. We can see the battery bar right now. Something shut the systems down.
Some just shut all the systems down, and
And
that's
something turned on the walkie.
yeah. I turned off the walkie-talkie, and then it came on. We heard it plinging, and Maria said she asked, she thought you heard you asking what the gate
Radiation.
Yeah,
I did.
So I turned it off, and something turned the walkie on, and we heard you coming across at that point because I turned it off because I didn't want it setting off the REM pod.
The REM pod, yeah.
And it turned on when we got a signal.
Did that thing just shut down again?
Yep. Just as he was walking up.
Yeah. Oh boy.
What do you think about that?
That's interesting.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if that's how close it was, and it is exactly where I thought it was. If that's the case, then yeah, that's interesting. What do we got? Well, here's something.
21.
Yep.
Slightly elevated.
We have a maximum of 30.
Oh. I wonder when that was.
As a while back.
Once again, we had hit a bump up from our normal background radiation of 15 to 30. Just then, I saw a glimmer of light up ahead of us.
What? I'm losing my mind. Is that the glare? You know what that is? Yeah. I know what that is. Can you tell me what it is?
It's glare on the cloud bank. Or
no,
fog.
It's the glare on top of this barbed wire.
Oh, I didn't even see the barbed wire there.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
That mystery's solved.
I was thinking it was glare coming off the lights on the cloud bank.
Well, there's one thing we debunked.
Yeah.
Only one so far.
It's important to try to find a logical explanation for these events in real time while you're on the site.
Clicking off over here. Nah, we're still at 21. So here's the thing. The radiation, it is definitely higher here than it was up there.
Oh, yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that's interesting. So I wonder if there's anything here. See anything on thermal?
Other than a bird.
What?
We just spooked a bird right here.
Bird?
Yeah.
Sure it's a bird?
Yeah.
Not Mothman? Yeah, I'm not joking. You never know. I've seen too many weird things at this point. I'm not joking about that. All right.
If it was a whippoorwill right now, I'd just walk away.
Yeah.
I would just walk away. I'd be like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah, well.
I'm not doing this again.
I hear you.
Learn my lesson.
I understand that. I really do.
I'm
Well,
going home.
I'm going to flash straight up that direction. So
right.
You train your thermal there. Ready?
Yep, let's do it.
Recording?
That bird is not happy.
No, it's not happy. 1, 2, 3.
Now, these flashlight techniques was something that John Kill used to use.
That's right. I figured why not try it here in, in the most appropriate area.
Right?
Yeah. But that's what he would do. He would come out and he would flash these lights at the sky, and then he would get these glowing balls of light that would sometimes flash back at him. And as we heard, what is that?
Straight off.
I see it. Is the plane? It's plane, right?
Now, at this time, we saw a light and just figured it was a plane above a tree line or a tower we hadn't noticed before. It wasn't until we got back to Dave that we would have to rethink that explanation.
So, what are you thinking?
I think it's really cool that we're able to come down here and we've tried out the flashlight experiment.
Yeah.
Using a similar style flashlight,
right.
Modern upgrades, clearly.
It is LED.
But
bright enough.
It's bright enough, and here in this area while we're studying and looking at the window area phenomena. I think
we're standing in the window. You realize that right now.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
This is almost sacred ground, if you really think about it. This is where it all started.
But being able to be here and conduct these experiments like this and give it a shot just to see what we can turn up. And, we did get a couple anomalies. It wasn't like firing off when Roni was here.
And that's important for people to see, though, because you don't get a home run every night.
No.
It's just not going to happen. You're not going to come out here flashlight at the sky. And,
You're not batting 1,000.
no, it's not gonna happen. You're not gonna have a bunch of, orbs floating around. But we did get an interesting.
Yeah, you got a
little
spike
there.
at
Yeah,
32.
32.
We had the strange microwave signal and EMF signal
That's right.
up here by the truck,
Yeah.
and everything was turned off except for the camera.
Yeah.
But it was coming from an area
There shouldn't be anything there. And what was really weird about that, Joe, is you were literally in that area, and if you stepped out, it was gone.
It was gone. It was right in that little bubble.
Yeah, it was literally right there. So that was very interesting to me. Well, let's go up and conduct a couple more things. But here's the thing. I think that we've pretty much done what we set out to do here.
Yeah.
We came out, we reproduced that, the classic experiment.
Yeah.
There's one more thing I want to do, though, before we leave.
All right.
One more thing.
Let's go do it.
Let's turn the TV on.
Ah, yes.
I wanted to try something a little different before we left the area, but when we got back, Dave had something for us to look at.
Check this out.
What do we get?
No, I'm not sure. I mean, the camera was on the tripod, 3-second exposure, and you guys were down here by the light.
Okay, this is
Oh, yeah.
what's this?
Hey, remember when I said on the thermal, I was like, I think I have something here.
Yeah, but what? Could it be a plane? Right? We got a flash here.
How many seconds was this?
30 seconds.
So if that's an aircraft, 30 seconds, that's as far as it moved?
Yeah, but that's not all.
What's this? What is that?
Oh,
Got that as well.
okay.
What is that? Look, here's the thing. This was on a tripod, right?
Yep.
We can see the stars. There's no star trail.
There's no motion blur on the stars.
But there's these things, and they're,
So here's a star field.
yeah.
So,
I mean, there's the beautiful example.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect.
I can even see colors in the stars, dude. There's the Pleiades right there.
yeah,
Okay, so
double star clusters.
let's see that again. Okay. Oh, wow.
Sometimes they're flying around, and that's in our atmosphere. It's not like an orbit or anything either.
Yeah, that's lower.
When did this happen, Dave?
Let's see here. All right, let's see. Right now it is currently 11:25, so it's probably about 20 minutes ago, roughly.
Okay. So
Show
it's
me
right
the-
when we got down there.
Pretty close to it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see that one again. I want to see that. That's amazing. I don't know what that is.
That was-
And what's weird about it, it almost looks like it has symmetry.
Yeah.
That is odd.
I mean, camera artifacts in mine, but that's odd to be a camera artifact because the only camera artifacts I'm actually getting when I'm shooting is from that light.
Lens flare.
And
I can see it. Yeah,
the
I can
lens
see the
flare,
lens flare. We got a
it's-
classic green.
My lens flare is within a certain range. When
Right.
I'm not gonna, if I have to move the camera around to even get the lens flare
That's
to move.
something moving in the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's-
And it's lit up.
Right.
So
And
that's-
it didn't move very far over a 30-second span.
And it literally appears and disappears according to this. And then
Right.
this thing down here is doing the same thing.
And they're on a different path.
they are.
This one is higher than
Yeah.
this one is.
It's
If you
not the
draw-
same thing.
If you draw the angle straight across, this one would be below where that one would be. So it doesn't even follow normal flight.
I don't know what I think about that. That's amazing. That is not anything like I expected. And that's us, right? What is that?
That's weird.
That's
That's
her
the
light.
IR.
That's the
Oh.
IR light. That's
My light,
awesome.
You guys are already pointing up that direction here.
Okay, so
So-
where are we pointing?
So where you guys are, you're pointing up that direction.
Right?
You're
So
looking
that was when I had that thing
Holy
on the thermal.
crap.
So, yeah.
That was right when I had the thing on the thermal.
So here's a zoom in shot. So
See, I'm scoping it.
You are.
Joe's scoping. Ron's looking up in the same way.
And my light.
Yeah, and it is definitely.
So this is the first time that we've seen something on thermal and visibly
Yeah.
at the same time. That is awesome.
So this is pretty cool, Dave.
It's the only photo of all the ones I've taken of this up down there. That's actually.
Yeah, while we were down there, nothing else happened, right? Nothing weird.
No, just-
But every time that we had a flashlight involved, we seem to have got some kind of weird thing happen.
That's
And we cannot deny that.
Well, we've got one more experiment to try before
Let's
we go
do
home.
it. I'm definitely doing it now. Ready? You want to help me with this thing?
Sure.
All right. So what we're doing here is we're going.
This took some doing to find.
Yeah.
By the way.
Did it?
Oh yeah. This took some work.
This is a way back kind of
This
thing.
this came from Kmart in the year of our Lord 1993, and it came with the original receipt.
Okay.
The original receipt is right here. And
Oh wow, you're not kidding!
Yeah.
It really did.
it really did. And yeah, it was originally $50.66 for this small radio television.
This is amazing. You did a good job.
Okay.
So why we have this is because of the more strange things that we've talked about.
Yeah.
Especially with the TVs, right?
Right.
How they were kind of going wonky.
They
and-
would be watching television
And something like-
or
Yeah.
just walking by, and they
Also,
would get white noise.
that's right.
It looked like someone was pulling up the guide, turning the volume up and down, changing channels.
So I'm driving back, and I'm in a particularly dark stretch of road, and all of a sudden I experience a couple flashes of light, like a strobe and a strobe. And I thought, that's weird. And I didn't have the presence of mind to think, well, where am I on the road where I can come back tomorrow and see if this is something mundane? And then I went across the river, went into my room, opened up the door, the TV set turned on by itself, and then started steadily flipping through channels.
And also, remember, the first ITC sessions actually involved TVs.
They did.
They involved, other electronic devices.
ITC is an abbreviation for Instrumental Transcommunication. The term originated with Dr. Ernest Sinkowski, a professor of physics and an electrical engineer. In the 1970s, he tested various electronic devices, such as audio recorders, fax machines, and even televisions, in attempts to communicate with the so-called other side.
They were just kind of testing all these different things out. What better thing to do than to try an actual TV that still has a real CRT in it? That's why it was so hard for you to find.
Yeah.
So let's see if this thing even turns on.
There we go.
Oh, wait. And we've also got the radio on this
Yeah.
thing, right?
Oh yeah. Here we go.
That is great.
Right.
That is absolutely great. Okay. We're gonna let that run and watch it and just kind of see what it's gonna, do.
This was simply an experiment. We were looking for anything out of the ordinary in the static pattern or the device itself, audio or video.
What's that, Dave? It's a 1.73. Did they just pop up?
Just noticed it.
Yeah, it wasn't there before. Yeah. Yeah, this is some wireless things.
That's probably where it turned on. Wouldn't have done
It shouldn't be.
it. Sensor on it. Okay.
1.73. Again, no 1.6s tonight, guys. I feel good. I feel good. We might have broke that.
Broke the trend.
Might have broke that trend. That's all right.
We needed to see if this was a repeatable signal or if it was just a one-off. So I reset the device.
Let's see if that shows back up.
I'm sure it's not the phone.
No, it's not the phone.
The signal never repeated.
What? You know what? Flashlight. I know.
There's a signal trying to come through.
Yeah, I heard a voice.
You hear that high pitch? Whoa, whoa, whoa,
I heard a
whoa, whoa.
voice.
I heard a voice for a split second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just seen it. I'm watching it. Got 19 down here.
That was the only thing we noticed, and we couldn't make it out, and it never happened again.
Well, I don't see anything different on the static, so. But I do have some other ideas for this whole thing,
Oh, yeah.
and we're going to be using it too.
After this investigation, we were more determined than ever to get back into the area that we had planned to go to this night. But before we could do that, we had to go over the data, and what we found was very interesting. Okay. Well, every time we meet back here, it just seems like it's getting weirder and weirder at the end of these things to go over these data reviews. But boy, do we have some stuff to go over from this one. There was some weird things that happened, right?
Indeed. Yeah. We did find the location.
Yes.
We were able to meet at said location, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a weather pattern came in that was not on the radar.
No, I've actually got that. I mean, this is just to show. This was the evening that we set out to do this, and you can see how absolutely amazing that the skies are at this point.
Yeah, this was perfect, and this is kind of what we wanted.
Yeah.
Because when you have a partially overcast sky, it gives you points of references with these UAPs.
Yeah, well,
because the cloud deck, and you can measure speed a little bit. But then
That's not what happens.
this starts.
Literally, as soon as we pull onto the road, this is what happens. Now, also notice something else right here.
Yeah.
As we were behind you, we noticed that the tailgate was down on your vehicle.
Yep.
By the time that we got back on the road and got that straightened out, this is what we were looking at. We were heading to the site right there. This is what the site looked like that night.
It looked rough. And the interesting thing with the tailgate being down is Adam and I sat there and waited for quite some time. Because you guys got redirected trying to get to this road by GPS.
That's right.
So Adam and I sat there for, I think, about 10 minutes roughly, and we were parked at the mouth of the road. I even got out of the truck because there was some locals that were coming out observing us, thinking that,
As they do.
We were the strangers, right?
As they do.
And I walked all the way to the back of the truck, and that is a point in time, when a
open tailgate would have probably stuck out.
Would have been glaringly obvious,
right.
Especially when there's a lot of gear in the back.
Yeah.
And there was nothing.
That was the beginning of the evening.
Yeah, we should have took a hint.
We probably should have, but we didn't. So we decided to go back.
We had originally scheduled a specific individual to come out with us, and they couldn't make it that night.
Right.
But we still tried to go. And we're talking about this guided hand in the last episode. This individual very well could have been meant to be there on this experience. So that's why the weather. Now, again, I'm looking at this very, very, very tightly, and with everything else in mind, it's just a lot. And I understand that could be misconstrued. It's just patterns and recognition at this point. But
yes,
the weather turned sour. So we didn't get to go conduct our experiments that someone very special was supposed to be there for. We didn't get to go conduct them because we're going to do it anyway because, we're under a deadline. We have to get this stuff done. And
winter's coming.
Winter's coming. So we've got to get it wrapped.
Yeah.
And we get out here. The weather just says absolutely not. So we retreat.
Yep. That's exactly what we did. We came back here to the office, actually, and we're like, you know what?
let's go back out to where we were a couple weeks ago, out near the power plant, but let's go closer. Let's get as close as we can to where this was this time.
And specifically, we did that because that weather system was still lingering over the other area.
Yep.
We were checking active radars, and coincidentally, the location that we were in with Roni,
It looked good.
looked good.
It looks good. So we decided to go out there, and even better, there's no motocross. There's only a few people in the campground. It's quiet. So we get to literally set up right at
the corner of where the
structure would have been. Yeah. Absolutely worked out perfect. You couldn't have done it any better, I don't think.
And that was something that was really important because you wanted to get that location. You wanted to be able to get close to that. Eventually, we had talked about that from the time we were out in that field. You said, oh man, we got to get up there. I want to get closer to where the building was. I want to be near where it happened. And we got that.
Yeah. So it's amazing to me because when we got there, we were taking our baselines. Got our baselines. But right after that, you're walking around, I think it was toward the end of the baselines, you're walking around with a tri-field and you started getting weird signals.
Just in particularly a basketball-sized area.
I have a little bit of that because there's a few things I want to address with this.
Why is the battery dying? The battery's dying.
Battery is dying.
What the heck is that?
So, as you're getting this signal, and it's a pretty big signal, okay? As you're getting this signal in this one particular little spot, I had you turn around multiple times, and we isolated where this was.
And this is a microwave signal.
It was a microwave signal, but I had you switch to gauze as well.
Yeah.
So we had an actual EMF right there. We can measure it. And it was above background, it was above normal. Something was in that one particular spot. Our battery started dying on the tri-field at that point.
Sound familiar?
Yeah.
That shouldn't be affected because it was off.
It was
Whatever
off.
happened.
This was off.
I was at 54 and it went to 0.
This is a brand new battery. That's our battery. That's one of the brand new ones, fully charged.
When I turned this back on, it was almost fully charged.
It went off completely. When we got it back on, it's fully charged. We can see the battery bar right now. Something shut the systems down.
Some just shut all the systems down.
Yeah, but
same location.
In this one spot.
Less than 100 yards away, and we're having similar instances take place. It is so mind-boggling. And it makes you think, because this is an area we are able to pretty quickly collect baselines. What we do is we more or less collect baselines for that night because we have so much data from doing workshops here, doing our own research there, and going out with Roni. We've got so many sets of baseline data. We know where this specific area sets on a fairly regular basis. When we get signals like this that are so far outside of that regular bounds of the borderlines, it stands out as glaringly obvious there's something happening.
This is the signals that we got.
Way over there.
And I want you to notice something here that we didn't notice at the time. Watch up here in the corner.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I would have missed it if it wouldn't have been for the fact, again, that I'm sitting here scrubbing this stuff, and it's on one frame, okay? It's not before, it's not after.
It just shows up and is gone.
Yeah, it shows up and it's gone, and it's the same time that you're getting this incredible, strong signal on the tri-field.
That is interesting. That's the first time I've seen this.
Yes.
That's a God's honest reaction you just got. That is very interesting because of something else that happened.
Yeah.
That is very interesting.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
That signal, we know what happens when we see that. That means that there is an actual signal that's coming through. We talked about this before in past episodes. So based upon that, we decided, put a REM pod out here.
Yep.
Because we did last time. Let's see what happened. Unlike last time, this time I'm expecting we're going to get something. There's going to be this thing is so sensitive that we can set it next to a computer, it's going to come on, okay?
Right.
It's sensitive. If there's a signal here, if there is any signal, that thing's going to turn on. No, it doesn't turn on. It just sits there.
Yeah.
until I mentioned going down to get as close as we could to where the old power plant was.
You know what? I want you to stay up here and film back that way. So there might be something around us we don't know.
Right there?
Hey, did that come on?
Yeah.
All right, stand back.
Because I say something like, I want to see if anything's there or still there, you never know something. And right there it is.
Yep.
It comes on right there. So I backed everybody up. We tested it over and over. None of our equipment turned on because we thought the Sea Star was turning on. We thought Dave's telescope was turning on at first. Nope, wasn't that?
But it's important to note, we are in the location of where the 1966 Mothman encounters in Point Pleasant kick off.
Right. We were on the road that they actually came down.
Yeah.
When they were leaving the power plant. That's literally where we're sitting at this point. It was incredible to be there, first of all. So we set our stuff up. We got our thermals up. We got the psionics up. We're looking at the sky. We're watching things. And we also decided at this time, we learned from the past, bring a bigger light.
Yep.
So we brought the light and we started doing some flashlight experiments. And here's one right here. So we're doing the flashes again. Again, this is John Keel's stuff. We didn't invent this.
No.
No one invented this. Maybe John Keel. Maybe he got it off somewhere else. I don't know. But John is more known for this than anyone. And flashing the light and getting these responses. Remember, that's what he said he did. He flashed the light and these blobs of light appeared. Flashlight experiment number 2. Right.
Got one. I'm on it. She's moving.
Record it.
Yep, I've got him.
Good
He
job.
just buzzed by an aircraft that mocked Jesus.
Literally, as soon as that light came on, that showed up.
Yeah.
And then it was gone. And it was fast.
Oh, it was really fast. And you can see how fast it was moving based off the surrounding environment. You can see that aircraft and you can see how close it came. That's danger close when you come into respects of flight patterns.
Unless it was closer, we don't know. We don't know its altitude.
Right.
But
We're just
let's be real.
Taking a guess.
And based upon what we've heard about some of these other issues now that they're looking at with these things flying close to aircraft and whatnot, that's what it would look like.
It would be.
Doesn't mean that's what it is, but that's what it would look like. And you can see the speed that this thing has.
Yeah, because we didn't have a rangefinder or altimeter to be able to gauge this. The only thing that we're able to use to base this off of is past experiences using measurable evidence like the cloud deck. And knowing where this thing's at. Now, that night, we did have some of that information, but we didn't know the altitude of that aircraft. No, we didn't. I didn't get a beat on it. The only thing I could measure a basis off of was that UAP target, because it did just clip into the cloud bank and disappear.
Yeah, this thing was fast. It was super fast. But that wasn't the only incident we had with the flashlight experiment.
That direction. So you train your thermal there. Ready?
Yep, let's do it.
Recording.
That bird is not happy.
No, it's not happy.
Here's the birds again, Joe. First we had a whippoorwill, had a crow, and now we have whatever this was that seems to just out of nowhere, in the dark, start making itself known. And I take that back. Actually, there was another one. If you go back to Wineberry, there was a bird call that after dark that shouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
So.
And we'd also had crows at Wineberry too.
Right. So is there some kind of something there? It goes on the table. It has to go on the table at this point. I don't know if there is.
Even though there's no real measurable data there, it's just correlation.
No. Now, if we get into old legends, there could be, but that's for another discussion. So I don't know what we make of that. I really don't.
but it is what it is. Now, this other piece I'm going to show you is something we laughed about at the field. But since all these other things have happened since, and we've been on other investigations at this point.
Oh yeah, I think I know exactly what you're going to show now. This is, it was.
We know how the human mind likes to create patterns and images, right?
Yeah, we want to from a very primal state.
Right.
We are designed to recognize patterns, to recognize potential threats. That's really what it is. And in particular, the number one most recognized thing in inanimate objects is faces.
That's right.
But however, this face, just this face.
Just keeping in mind with some of the stuff that we know now that we didn't know when this was shot, by the way. This is the thermal target that we picked up, and we're laughing about it being, pareidolia. But that cannot be denied. That is definitely an interesting thing. So let's look at this for what it is, okay?
Yeah.
What are we looking at exactly?
Well, what we're looking at is clouds, right? It's misty clouds that are being broken up by the wind and during their natural movement.
This is a thermal.
This is a thermal.
This is not visible.
Right. This is in it. The clouds are visible.
You can see the clouds, but you can't see that.
But you can't see the fact that this specific part of the cloud is warmer than the other clouds. Why does that look like that? I don't have an answer.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, as soon as I saw it, like the first thing I was like, that's creepy.
Yeah.
And I think I even said, I was like, that's just real creepy. And you're like, what is it? I was like, hey, let me record it. So I recorded it so that way they could see it. Because I knew you can't see it with your naked eye. Even if you looked at it with the infrared camera, you'd be able to just see clouds. Because this is thermal. And I knew what I was looking at was a thermal image here. And man, it's just creepy.
It's creepy when the little tiny thing, but when you see it on the big screen, it's even more creepy.
Right.
Because it is what it is.
You can see, and our viewers, say it in the comments.
Yeah, it's fine.
What is it?
Yeah, it's fine. Because we're not going to say what that is or looks like. But seriously, based upon the high strangeness of all the things that happen in this, that is the kind of stuff that we see.
And this also gives that kind of almost like a break where everything's hyper serious. You're in this you're almost in my opinion. This night we had Dave with us, and we were almost too serious because we were operating on a crunched set of time.
Absolutely.
Site A was getting a torrential downpour. This second site happened to work out. And we're like, okay, we've got to at least make the trip worth it. We've got to do something.
There was a literal window.
Yeah, it was.
This area.
It was a literal
and it was closing. Because we were watching the data at the time.
We were.
Because the weather was changing.
And we were tense. The atmosphere was tense. We were like, we got to film something. We're just even if it's nothing that gets used, we got to justify the trip. And then all of a sudden, we get the weird signals. Yeah, that was really interesting. But then we're like, oh, we're going to get UFOs. We're going to hopefully get some other thermal targets. And then all of a sudden, it's just like in the clouds.
In the clouds.
And we laughed about it. It did break the tension. It lightened the mood. And then
there are so many accounts of people who say that, whatever this is, we call it for what they're calling it now, NHI, right?
NHI.
So there's a lot of these accounts that say that this NHI has this sense of humor. If I were to say that that's what that is, I would say, yeah, that would quantify that.
Right.
That seems like a sense of humor to me.
Agreed.
But you're right, it did. It broke things up so much. And it was just, we actually saw stuff after that.
We did.
As Dave, he's out there and he's taking these long exposures.
On a tripod. This is not handheld. There's no chance that this was wobble.
No, this is on a tripod. And he shows us these images and he's like, oh, this is interesting. And some of the images that he shows us, they're just, wow. Here you go. And let me zoom out. for us.
An orange orb.
It is. It is an orange orb. So some of these occurred right as we're doing the flashlight experiments. Some of them occurred right over our heads and we didn't even know they were there. We thought at one time that we did see something on the horizon and we dismiss it at the time.
We did.
Because it's like, oh, that might be a tower off in the distance or maybe it's an airplane or whatever. And then he shows us an image and it doesn't appear that it was an airplane.
Right.
Or a tower or, what have you. In fact, it appears more that it is something like...
Because this is another photograph. This is a separate photograph.
This.
Yeah. And now this image has been reviewed by our peers. And what was the feedback that we got?
It's not a lens flare, number one. He was taking long exposure images. If this were an airplane, just hypothetically, or anything, there should be a trail moving on this thing.
Yes.
That thing's sitting still. It's sitting as still as the star right up here.
Yeah.
What is it? I don't know. The data's the data. There it is. We'll throw this up on our website. We'll let people take a look at it. But I don't know what that is. All I know is it showed up and we got it. So the next really cool thing that we get is, again, after another one of those experiments.
Yes.
I'm using a psionics, pointing it at the sky. And there is this thing that comes out of a cloud deck,
right,
goes up and does one of these and kind of disappears. It does like this Z pattern.
Yeah,
and it kind
the
of
wiggle
disappears.
is real tight.
Those are stars, I'm pretty sure. Right about there. Stars. Yeah, those are stars, I'm pretty sure.
I got one.
Where?
Ron, right here, come here.
What do you got it on?
I got it on thermal.
Record. Where's it at? I've got psionics pointed at the sky right now. Holy shoot, what is that?
See it?
Yeah, I see it. It's gone.
Yeah, and just kind of fades out. But it's like a real bluish-like light.
Right.
It's very strange, very wispy. And it's not an insect. We've had people look at this too. It's not an insect, not lens flare, because it's moving independent of the camera. Don't know what it is.
Well, based off of the technology that we're using, we know that the limits of this the hardware that we're using with the psionics has a certain threshold on what the visible spectrum for it is and where it maxes out.
Right.
And that's around 1100 nanometers of light. So what we can pretty comfortably say is that this object was somehow producing light that was just because, again, there's that wispy, almost ghosty effect
Oh,
to
there
it.
was definitely a ghosty effect to it, yeah.
To me, what that says is that this object was just on the edge because it had that translucence to it.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't translucent. And then it went back to the translucency and then faded out. So to me, it's almost like this thing was well above 1100, came down to 1000, or in that, somewhere between 1000 and 1100, and then crept back up above.
Okay.
Why did it do that?
How did it do that?
Yeah, how did it do it? Did it know? That's another question that we have to ask. Did this thing suddenly realize and know that we detected it, so then it dialed it up somehow?
No idea, but it was definitely there.
Yeah.
It's captured. We could see it.
Along with other sensor data.
It's there. And there were other things that happened in the same area during this whole little short window that were there. So we did something unconventional.
We did, yeah, and it's a pretty fun little
It's a little experiment. We're going to still play with it in the future too, but we decided to use an old TV, a portable TV. And why we did that was because, first of all, it's picking up radio waves, right? Today's TVs, not so much, but these are old TVs. You found this thing, it was from the 80s, I believe, something like that, wasn't it?
Yep, it was from the 80s and came with the original receipt from Kmart.
Yeah. So we have this old TV, we have it tuned in, we're watching the static pattern on this TV. Yeah. And as we're watching the static pattern, we also have, the audio coming through. And at one point in the audio, you can hear what sounds like somebody talking for a brief second, and then it's gone. It didn't happen again. I don't know what that was. Could have been just a straight signal from anything, I guess.
Right, because the antenna was extended.
Yeah. But why we did that was because of those original Mothman sightings where they were talking about the TV interference and whatnot. And we've talked about that in our presentations in the past. So this was something that was kind of an experiment.
Yeah.
It was not everybody was doing it. It was just a certain groups of people who were playing around with this stuff, kind of like we are.
Right.
But there may be something to it. So we're going to bring that thing back out in the field eventually too. But this night, this particular investigation, at the end of it, and when we looked at the photos, and there's just so many of the photos, that I can't even explain. Here are a few I'll let you look at right now. These photos, particularly the one where Dave is very confused about because he knows that he's shooting a 30-second exposure, and there's this light, and it's there. But if it were an airplane, like you said, there would be this massive trail across the sky, right? Of these dots.
It would be in sequence. You would see it as a pattern because aircraft lights have a very distinct set pattern.
That's right. And we've actually used that in the past to debunk several UFO sightings that turned out to be nothing more than the jets flying over and caught on a time-lapse type system. No, that's not the case here. So, based on this, what are your thoughts on what happened out there that night?
Well, initially, we were supposed to go to a different site. We were redirected to this site, and part of me, this is just me being, hypothetical here.
Sure.
Part of me wants to believe that we were sent back here strictly to capture this, because you and I, it is not part of our standard operating procedures to set out long exposure cameras to do this. However, Dave
does it.
This is what he does for fun. He goes outside and does this all the time.
He's an astronomer.
He's an astrophotographer. He's an astronomer. This is what he does. So sure enough, he deploys that tactic in the field with us anytime we're out with him. So we wouldn't have captured those had it not been for the fact that he was there with us. And subsequently, I don't think that we would have captured what we captured very soon after had we not had
this happen. Yeah. So it's pieces of a puzzle is what we're looking at.
Yeah. And
it adds up in the end.
It does.
The data, you can put it all together the way you want to, and I know the viewers will, and they can rip it apart. And, the key is that once you get an insurmountable mountain of this data, regardless if you call it anecdotal, it's not. There's sensors here. There's sensor data here.
This isn't just eyewitness testimony.
No, it's not.
This isn't just blurry pictures.
Right.
This is very, very high resolution video, very high resolution photographs, very sensitive sensor data.
Yep. It is what it is. I mean, you can't really say any more than that. And, the thing about it to me is that it seems, I don't even want to look that way, but it does seem like it leads. there's definitely this leading factor that's taking place. So let's get back out there. Let's go to the place where we're going to go.
Yeah.
And who knows at this point?
Oh, yeah.
So let's go do that and see where we get led this time.
Right, let's do it.
John Keel was under the impression that these things were alive and intelligent and aware of him.
It stopped.
What do you mean it stopped?
It stopped.
Wow.
It just turned into 2 objects this one.
Yeah, this is a first for me.
Guys, I got something.
Where did it go? Whoa!
We wanted to get him out here to recreate some of these Killian experiences and experiments.
And you did.
Overhead, yes. What the heck is that thing?
You absolutely did.